Hi YouTube, happy St. Patrick's Day to you. I'm going to read you something a little odd that I just got. A young African friend of mine wrote, and his English has gotten better. I've known him about 7, 8 years now. But he wrote, I will not say anything while evil people are near. I keep quiet, not saying a word, not even about anything good, but my suffering only grew worse, and I was overcome with anxiety. The more I thought, the more troubled I become. Then he wrote, I could not keep from asking how long. Then he wrote, come to my aid when I cry. Like all my ancestors, I am only he put quest, but I think guest for a little while. Yeah, but the thing is, I'm making this video because I don't talk in my private message, and I can talk. I know he doesn't want to talk in front of people on Facebook. Maybe he'll watch this. I don't know. I don't have any time of when people's suffering is going to end. My friends, I love you. I have no clue. I don't, any gifts, anything I see ahead of time is something God put there. It's nothing I can call upon myself. I am not the energy in charge of that. I am not in control of that energy or the scenario of where we live. None of it. It's out of my hands, out of my control. I don't know how long. I really don't. If anything changes, if I find out anything, I'm not meaning to laugh at you, but if you knew the gazillion times I thought how long myself, wow. It reminds me of a song with those lyrics in there, how long. Just a minute. I might catch it. I almost had it. I almost had the whole song in my head there. Can't even think who sings it. Give me 1 minute. If I think of it while this is uploaded, I'll put it in the description. I think it's like a band from the late 90s or early 2000s, something like that. Or I might catch it later on here as I'm thinking. So, yeah, I've had kind of a weird day. I was feeling kind of sick again today. I ate healthy last night. I mean, I didn't have any sugar. I did have fruit, avocado, which is considered a fruit, on my fajitas. I didn't turn it into buffalo chicken. Doug grabbed some avocados, so we had that fajita chicken with lettuce and, so, and it was chicken breast. So everything was low fat. So I ate pretty darn healthy last night, Anyway. Maybe the band I'm trying to think of is that same one that sings Californication. I do believe. I think so. I think it is. maybe. And I can't think of their name right now. So, anyway. Dang it. Oh, well. I'm not gonna worry about it. I do worry about my friends. I mean, I've gotten to know this person, and he's a relatively, probably younger than my kids, actually. Probably about half a decade anyway. I think he's like maybe 30. He started watching or friended me on Facebook. He was in his 20s. So, yeah, he's young. He's a young man. He's seen me chew out a gazillion people on here for contacting me privately, and evidently something horrible is going on in his life. Something heartbreaking, most likely. And, yeah. But I'm really not the person to ask. God, the Spirit of God working in people, yeah, we can help. We can try and help. That's all we can do. I mean, like I did respond like, he's having a rough day. And then he said something and I gave it a heart, stuff like that. But yeah, I could tell something was wrong with this guy just this last week on different posts that something was off with him. It's like he's a little more cruel than usual. So evidently, when we go through stressful things, there's different ways that we can deal with it, you know. He just wrote, "Leave me alone so that I may have some happiness before I go, and I am no more." He does remind me of my kids. It's like my one block, my one that is homeless or whatever. He put through, because, I mean, to put it bluntly, he'd rather do what he wants to do and not stay in a shelter where he's welcome. When they're sober, they can do that. So evidently when these guys have issues like that and then they put it on other people, that's not a very manly thing to do, and I don't operate like that. And I'm a woman, and then I see people saying when like women are subservient and that type of thing. God help me. That's all I can say. Cheers, everybody. Yeah, something was off with the dude this whole last week. It's like, wow, got a bug up there somewhere, you know? Everyone is a little Irish on St. Patrick's Day, except the Scottish. We're still Scottish, yeah. I have both in me, so I can't tell you how I feel about that. I don't know. Yeah. So just really weird. And the odd thing is, right before talk about Satan using people as tools, I'm making a video right before I'm going to make a video, and I want to be in good spirits. And like I say, I'm not feeling the greatest right this second either. Bam, Satan attacks using people like that. Ugh, leave me alone. He contacts me in my private messenger. Doesn't get me to talk to him, and then tells me to leave him alone. Okay, no problem. I'll leave you alone. Leave me alone. For Christ's sake, leave me alone. Yeah. Wow. Some people's children. You're ugly and your mother dresses you funny. That's Doug's line. You know, when people act out of sorts like that, you know. So, I had a friend, well, somewhat of a friend from teenage years, and he doesn't come around anymore because of various reasons, but he used to ask kids, have you had your daily beating? And I told him one time, as a matter of fact, they did. You know, not from me. No. When I first heard him say it, I'm like, well, that's not very cool, you know. I don't know if I had kids yet or not. Probably. Maybe they were too little to hear that, you know. So, yeah. Some people's children, yeah. I knew this guy I'm talking about. I knew his mom and his sister and a lot of his family. Nephew, I should say sisters, mom and dad and everybody. I knew them all. So we all lived around this little town called Bethel. When I moved up to around St. Francis, I went to high school for a while, and before I went out to Montana, and didn't look back for a long time. And then when I did come back, it was only for a visit, you know. So nothing. I didn't. When I came back this last time, I had every intention of staying, but for about the first 20-some years of my life, into my 30s actually, I did a lot of traveling around the United States, doing all kinds of things. So, but then I wanted to settle down with my kids and get a house so they could have their own rooms, and you know, which I did do for a while. Well, yeah, I did do it, but just not on my own the second time, you know, with Doug. So he had a pre-existing place I helped him keep. So yeah, that's pretty important. It was important for both of us, you know. Still trying to think of that song. And it's something like that. The minute something's uploading and I'm not talking or I'm not trying to grasp something that's just a little out of reach, it seems I think of it later. And it's weird. Maybe even tomorrow it'll hit me, you know. It's like, oh yeah, that's that song. I sent some people I knew a little meme I really liked. It was a little lamb underneath the night sky, and it said, I don't care to understand why you're mean to me. You know, that's pretty straightforward and simple. I don't want to know. Keep your excuses to yourself, in other words, you know. Don't care, don't want to know, don't want to hear it. I don't. I won't, as a matter of fact. Just like how I got treated. What the was that, you know? Do I remind him of somebody, like a grandma or something? One of his, or I don't know. Go away then. Yuck. Anyway. Yeah. I listened to Professor Sam Vaknin this morning on how he writes up a case study for psychology, how one goes about writing a case study, what it involves, you know. And even as far as involving your opposition, to give them the place in the whole scenario of any psychological thing, you give them their spot and show, like if it were columns, it's not, but because it's the written word, but if you could show here's the opposition, what they think, or if they're not opposing, just another way of thinking about the same scenario type of thing. And then here's your synopsis on the whole thing. If it were the study of some behavior problem within a person or whatever. And he went into detail on how you go about writing a case study. I thought that was really interesting. Then he had something on I don't know if it's OCDR or OCR, obsessive compulsive, and then something to do with relationships, as a matter of fact. I'm going to look that up real quick, what that was. That was really interesting to me because I had some thoughts on that, which I will convey in a minute here. Shouldn't be too long. I was looking at some stuff about borax. It's cleaner. Oh, don't obsess about your relationships is what the name of his video is. Let's see what he says under here. ROCD includes two common presentation: relationship-centered and partner-focused obsessive-compulsive symptoms. People with relationship-centered obsessions often feel overwhelmed by doubts and worries, focus on their feelings towards their partner's feelings towards them, and the rightness of the relationship experience. They may repeatedly find themselves thinking, is this the right relationship for me? This is not real love. Do I feel right? And does my partner really love me? People who present with partner-focused obsession may focus on their partner's physical features, e.g., her nose is too big, social qualities, he's not social enough, she doesn't have what it takes to succeed in life, or personality attributes such as morality, intelligence, or emotional stability. She is not intelligent enough. He is not emotionally stable. And then he cites where he got his literature from, OCD by Guy Doran, PhD, and Danny Derby, PhD. And that article was initially published in the fall of 2014 in an OCD newsletter. And Doran G, Derby D, and Suspenseful O 2014 Relationship Obsessive Compulsive Disorder, ROCD. Conceptual Framework, Journal of the Obsessive Compulsive and Related Disorders. Now, that's what I was going to talk about. I saw a relation in my OCD and wanting things to be perfect in my life And even like a lot of us, and I do have a counting method when I wash. I adopted it when I was younger. I'm getting out of it better now. And the more you're aware of the things you're doing, the more you can find little tricks. Maybe it's just another psych myself out not to do something, but I saw something in relation to my OCD and the way I was raised, both of them being pretty psychotic, pretty narcissistic. And when I found myself talking and acting like they did, I found that OCD and narcissism are closely related in that. But I didn't go the dark route with trying to pull somebody apart. I can. I'd be really good at it, but I always guarded myself from doing that because I recognized it could become a problem. Even if you do have, so what if you have a crappy relationship? You still married that person. That's why I got a legal, I gave him a letter of divorcement. Anytime he wants to divorce me, he can go and do that. You know, that's kind of like a piece of paper. You're free if you want to be, no contest, you know. You know? So, on second thought, you know. So, but I saw the close relation with OCD and narcissism, but not necessarily narcissism and OCD, because not all narcissists are compelled for order. In fact, chaos and disorder is kind of their middle name as far as I'm concerned, you know. So just a couple of observations in my life of personalities, which they consider, even dyslexia is considered a mental illness, and it could be actually an enhancement. And why, okay, if I saw letters backwards and in ancient times they wrote backwards, well, then maybe my brain isn't different than what it should be after all. Maybe everybody else's has been trained to be. And I really believe that a lot about myself, you know, just saying. So maybe people that suffer with dyslexia might have an advantage in some ways because you're really not thinking like other people actually do all the time. Maybe not. When we read things, it's different. Like speed reading, I found was a easier thing for me to do, to actually pick out the words and then go back and put it together and get the context of the whole thing, which is odd, but it does work. So, yeah, it's a technique. It's funky and it does work. If you've ever studied speed reading, it does. I mean, I don't do it all the time. I typically just read when I'm reading, but if you want to cover a lot of material, there's a technique for that. Like if you're getting through a textbook or something like that. I don't know. Word for word's pretty good when you want to know the truth of something too. And to study each word and what does that mean, you know. So, that's probably about all that's going on today around here. Just wanted to wish you a happy week ahead. Thank you to the people doing videos, connecting with me and communicating with me. Unless it's really repetitious, I can't do that, but doesn't mean I don't appreciate people's work. It's just like, but no, like with Ancient Aliens or whatever, how many days do we got to see the same information of what supposedly our government is keeping away from us, which isn't even close to the truth. So All right, everybody. I'll be back tomorrow. Have a really nice night or day wherever you're at. Peace and love from Pine City, Minnesota, USA.